Alrighty, folks, welcome to Thursday night, Hunting the Rut Hotline with Don Bell and Big Steve Burklow. And I know Big Steve, yep, he's not here. You know where his rascal is? At Rascal is at graduation tonight. His son is graduating from school tonight. And you know how that is. No better place to be than there. And so we're here. And we're glad you're there. Boy, that's complicated. That was complicated. I don't have to say that again. But anyway, it's May 19th. Man, we're clicking right along. Folks, I'm telling you, July 4th, look, we're wide open down here with Top Secret and with Portland Outdoors with all our brands, man, getting ready to, like Santa Claus, getting ready to ship you stuff that you can see under the tree, that you'll be able to see something under the tree come deer season, which is not that far off. And to put it in perspective, it's May 19th. June, July. 2.5 months, season opens in the state of South Carolina in the southern zone. 2.5 months. It's crazy. Christmas was just over. We were just talking about them looking from antlers, and you know, here it is. You know, they're well on the way. These deer are growing all over the country, healthy. You know, it hasn't been a hot season here in the southeast. Oddly enough, relatively cool. And of course, it's the same way in the north. So deer ought to be good and healthy this year. And so we're looking forward to a season coming up, and we're going to be talking about some stuff tonight. And give a shout out to the gentleman that was with us last night, Lenny Hernandez. And Lenny was on last week talking to us about ticks. And if you haven't seen that episode, you're going to want to go back and watch it. It is fascinating. In fact, I had to admit to Lenny last week, you know, when I said, we're going to talk about ticks, and I thought, well, gee, my gracious, how long can you talk about ticks? Fascinating. You know, I mean, we're down here in North Florida and South Alabama. We're in Tick City. But oddly enough, I found out, and you see on the screen there are all these ticks. The Northeast is the worst area, followed by the Midwest, and then the Southeast. And I'm thinking, boy, if we have the least, you guys are eat up with them up north. And fascinating. Couldn't even begin to scratch a surface last week. So Lenny's coming back next Thursday. So if you know someone that has got Lyme disease or has had it, a family member or somebody thinks that they have it, now's the time. Next week you can be emailing us, calling in and saying, hey, I want to ask Lenny this, ask Lenny that, and you will be able to ask concrete questions to Lenny and get answers. It's fascinating. Some of the symptoms that you think you have, you think it's related to something else and you ignore it, you know, and it just kind of piles up and all of a sudden you got a problem. And Lyme disease takes a while, but once you get it, it takes a while to get rid of it too. It's not just something you take a pill and you're through with it. And it can cause a whole lot of stuff. It's almost sort of like rot in a building. If you decay in a board, you don't mess with it, the foundation screws up, next thing the windows and the doors don't shut, the leaks is sagging, next thing you got a roof leaking. All because of the decay. Sort of like that with ticks, being with the Lyme disease. Fascinating. And Lenny will be back next Thursday night at 7 o'clock. So start emailing us, calling in, and getting lined up to be asked Lenny next Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Hey, stay tuned. We come back. We got a full show for you. Be right back.
You don't like old milk. Deer don't like old urine. Brown and cloudy urine reeks of ammonia. Ammoniated urine means it's old, not fresh, and it doesn't fool deer. Top Secret Deer Scents, the only scent on the market that's oxygen-free from collection to bottle. It's yellow and clear because it's fresh. It's the only scent on the market that says a deer is here now and not last week.
Alrighty. Now, folks, last week when we started talking about the ticks and Lyme disease and stuff, you know, I'm in the hunting industry, been in the hunting industry, 30 years, and traveled all over the country and got ticks on me like everybody else, got ticks off of me. I got animals, who hadn't killed a deer had ticks on them. And to come to find out, ticks, the carrier for ticks is the white-footed mouse. a white-footed mouse is really the carrier for these things, and then you have the whitetail is the one that they hang on to, and that's how they get spread mostly. I mean, there's birds that does it. I mean, you see this deer here, and look, what's guys, I don't know if you noticed that back. Can you back that one up a second? The one with the tag. Notice that deer's got a tag in his ear. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you that's probably at a high fence somewhere, but if it's in a high fence, we know its chances are great it's not in the wild. I don't know, we'd have to check this with Lenny, but look at the ticks on that rascal. And can you just imagine how uncomfortable it is, and therefore, guys, just how much blood is that they're taking out of that deer. And just the amount of time that it takes for a tick to get on you and starts the process of drawing blood and dropping off. I mean, like anything else, you know, they push away from the table when they're full too, so they just drop off. And so they wait a while and they eat again. And it's just a cycle. So fascinating stuff. All of that has everything to do with what we're talking about hunting the rut, because that is affecting the health of the herd. And it's certainly going to affect you as you go into the woods, going into the woods now, all the turkey, this past turkey season. You see some of the symptoms of what they call a bullseye scar, what's the right word, rash there. You know, you may think it's a reaction to something to this or that. Next thing you know, it's into something else. So you want to assume when you go in the woods that you check yourself. And all hunters know you check the areas that, what shall I say, private? Because they tend to go to the not so, you know what I'm saying, the private areas. And so you need to check yourself. And I tell you guys, you know, you've heard all the stuff about Sika. Well, BioShield, and I'm not trying to use a commercial here for BioShield, even though BioShield, obviously, we manufacture BioShield, but it is the perfect storm for our product, BioShield, because BioShield, a lady, where did she call in today? Where did she call in from? She ordered it from, I thought, Maine or somewhere up there. But anyway, she got laundry detergent, and her husband works outdoors. Well, I mean, common sense says you don't want a tick on you. Well, up to now, what you've been able to do with ticks, you got all the DEEP products and stuff, which we all know is not good for you. We've covered that here on this show. Won't take the time tonight to do that, but you know it's not good for you. Well, our product is 100% natural. It's DEEP-free. You can put it on a baby, and it's not going to hurt them. 8 hours of protection, 95% repellency, but the key to it is we have it not only in the spray, but we got it in the body wash. We got a laundry detergent. Now think about that just a second. In fact, we've got a Facebook question coming up from a Marine, and you'll hear his question early, but the reason I'm facing this to you is that, telling you about it, is that this gentleman, he's over in Japan, and he just shipped some to Houston, to Texas. He just deployed last week to just somewhere in Japan, and we shipped product before he left. We shipped product to Texas for his family to ship it to Japan. Why? Because he wants to make sure with all the insects and stuff's over there that he's covered. He's used to that here. He's used to going out in the woods and outside in confidence and security of having a triple protection. Body wash and shampoo, take a bath. Laundry detergent, folks, you're already washing your clothes. Common sense says use something that works. Well, you not only can you clean your clothes, but you also got the protection of help repelling ticks, mosquitoes, chiggers, black flies, any kind of bodied insect. Children are playing, give them protection. Folks, you're giving them a bath every night. Might as well have protection. All you cats out there working outdoors, you know, your telephone companies sitting up there next to that pole, you know, and your feet in the ditch, got protection. Spray. Folks, it's a great product, and this time of year, all the way into fall, really up to the frost, them suckers is going to be everywhere. And ticks does not just crawl around. If you look how a tick works, a tick climbs up on a blade of grass, gets on a limb, and they just kind of hang like this. They throw the little feet up there, you know, just cute as they can little be, and they just hang there. Something comes by, they latch onto it like Velcro, and off they go. and they lock onto any kind of warm-blooded host. They take the blood, drop off, go again, climb back again, wait again. It's not like they're crawling waiting to jump on you. They just latch on. That's the reason of clothing and stuff. And what you want them to do is when they latch onto that clothing, that repellent repels them, that they'll drop off. Guys, we talked about it last week. We got to do that. We need to remind me to do that. Is to show live on the show here a tick. Put a tick in my hand and get the camera close and watch us go and watch him die in our hand. That's how effective this stuff is. He'll literally just drop off. So fascinating stuff, 100% natural, folks, and people getting it all over the country. You get it. You can go to BioShield-RX.com. How about that, Tom? BioShield-RX.com, and secure yours tonight and get it for your family, or you can go to your local store and ask for it. It's available all over the country at your local sporting goods store or your favorite store to purchase at. And if they're out of it, just ask for it, and we'll make sure they get some of it. All righty here. Big Tom, you want to go to some Facebook questions? All right. The first question is from the Marine that I'm talking about, Alex Wilcox, and Alex is from San Clemente, California, because he's in the Marine Corps now. I mean, he, like I said, he's based out of there, and he just left to go to Japan. And let me tell you a quick story about Alex. Now, this is going to tell my age. Alex, I met Alex for the first time years ago when he was 5, 6 years old, maybe 7, and he was at a show with his family. If my memory serves correct, maybe a father and grandfather. And he come by the booth, and we'd done a seminar, and we got to talking. Well, Alex was a fine young man then, and when Alex called last week, told me he was leaving to go to Japan, he's turned into a fine young man. But Alex, I'd get a Christmas card every year for years from Alex. So, you know, we meet a lot of people, a lot of good people, young people, old people, and, you know, when you're in this business, there's still more good people in America than bad. Unfortunately, the bad just gets a lot more press. We got to go back to what Martin Luther King said: you have evil in the world not because of evil people, you have evil in the world because of the appalling silence of the good people. And this election, you're hearing the good people say, we're tired of it on both sides of the spectrum. Okay, I'm not, they tell me they're saying get off the political stuff. But anyway, here's, you know what I'm saying. So Alex, fine young man, we appreciate your service. Right now, tonight, he's in Japan. So, and by the way, he's in Japan with BioShield to protect himself over there. Alex wants to know, when using top secret, talking about deer scent now, big hunter, Alex is a big deer hunter. When using top secret tarsal gland lure, is it best to pour it directly into the mock scrape, or to use it on an overhanging branch, or do both? Alex, absolutely fine to do both. The key to the tarsal scent, it's excellent during pre-rut. Excellent at mock scrapes. You can put it, Alex, you can put it in the, you know, like we talked before, you put it in a primary, I mean, it's not a primary scrape, but you can do that too. But normally pre-rut, you can put it in a secondary scrape, you know, kind of how they just kind of go along. It looks like where a turkey may have scratched. Pre-rut, they're really not marking right then. But what you're doing is you're putting that scent out there, letting them know another buck's in the area. Now, they're not as mad then, but Alex, if you put it in that same scrape during the peak of the rut or just prior to the peak of the rut, dude, that's like coming home smelling Old Spice knowing you don't wear it. He's mad. And of course, you want to put, you can use buck urine with it, and you also want to grunt with it. You know, we're in May 19th talking about this stuff, but you know, look, the bucks are in bachelor groups, and they start getting out toward the peak pre-rut, back toward late August, September, when season starts breaking. You know, the first season's breaking September, with the exception of South Carolina, which opens August 15th. And guys, you talk about ticks in South Carolina, August 15th. So what you do, Alex, you can use that, and you can do both. Just like you could use the tarsal with the buck, but you want to grunt with both. And more people are doing this. We're talking about it more and more. And it's not that we're just talking about using a decoy more and more. It's simply because more and more states are allowing decoying deer. And so some states will allow you to use a decoy and will allow you, it's just a decoy. It has to be a static decoy, can't move. Mechanically, it cannot move. Some states allow it to mechanically move. Those states, back when, before you could ever do that, we used to hunt, and I can remember a time we were filming in New York, in Tioga County, New York, and I took a baggage claim. I was fixing to climb up Joe Swigonski. Joe, if you're watching tonight, I'm telling on you, but little Italian up there in Tioga County, New York. We're sitting up there, and Joe went up the tree, and I started up the tree. Of course, camera guy gets up there first because he's overlooking you. And I said, wait a minute. And I started going back down. I kind of went back out to the decoy, and he said, where are you going? And I took a baggage claim check out of my, it's got the little stretch thing on it, and I hung it on the decoy's ear. And you think, well, why would you do that? I got back up the tree, and Joe asked me the same thing. He said, why the heck did you do that? And any wind at all, it would move that little card, that little baggage claim check like this, which looked like it gave the illusion that the deer was cupping its ear. So just any movement that you can entertain, it will help you to get that buck or that doe within shooting range of that. So you can decoy, but to answer your question, absolutely, Alex, you can use tarsal gland pre, peak, and post. It's effective in all. It's like buck urine. It'll start good and get better. But the tarsal gland is more of an identity than an attractant. But it is primarily the most effective gland on a white-tailed deer. Of all the glands that's on the deer, it is the one that's on the back of the deer, and the effectiveness of it, it secretes. The bucks rub their legs together. It's called rub urination. It rubs the legs together. You've all seen them do it either live or on a video. And as he urinates over the back legs, he's rubbing it. The tarsal secretes a musk, sort of like the hairs are sort of like hollow, like a straw, sort of, and it secretes a musk. Urine gets in the musk with the urine down on the ground. He marks the scrape by doing that. So, Big Alex, hope that helps you out, and you be careful out there in Japan, and come home safely in time to hunt deer season this year. All right, you tell me, guys, can we go on some more? All right. We got us a question on BioShield. Don Dodds from Ontario, Canada. Can you ship the 8-ounce BioShield into Canada without trouble? Well, there's always a little difficulty shipping into Canada. But actually, Don, we have a meeting coming up about the middle of next month. Well, about 4 weeks from today, actually 4 weeks from Monday, with Walmart Canada and Canadian Tire, just for that very question. There are some questions on, we're registered here in the South, in the United States, even though it's 100% natural, so we're looking at all the possibilities and the validity to bring it into Canada. But great product, man. I know your butts eat up by them black flies up there. This will stop that. It's all, and you cannot smuggle it into Canada. That's illegal. Be like getting Cuban cigars. But eventually, you hang on there long enough, you see what happens. Now you can go to Cuba and get you a cigar. But we're working on that. That's coming up in about 4 weeks as we talk about that. So, interesting question. You see us working. Somebody said, well, what you doing? We're putting this stuff everywhere. We're literally... Guys, while you're sitting there watching TV or talking about deer hunting, we're out here working hard to put this stuff everywhere you can go to it without having to travel all over the place, where you can find our brands. Great products, great timing, great success. Dan Peck, Big Dan, North Adams, Massachusetts. He said, I was at the Kansas show and bought some products at the show, and they're doing well. Is BioShield spray safe to use on dogs? We got us a dealer calling in here. I'm a bird dog guy. I'm looking for a product that is safe to use on my dogs while in the field. Dan, your lucky day, baby. It is absolutely safe for them. It's a great product for them. We have been asked to put that into the pet industry. In fact, we have already developed the line. We've already got the packaging, and we're just looking for the timing to insert it, and we're talking to some national accounts about it. So, absolutely. In fact, if you watch his show much, you'll see Mike, Steve's brother, who's also a pharmacist, who lives in Camden, Alabama. And now Camden is on the Alabama River there. The Alabama runs through Wilcox County. A lot of the Alabama River runs through Wilcox County. And Mike's got a lab. Gorgeous thing. Mike bathes the dog in the body wash and shampoo. Well, Mike was out of it. Understanding we got a warehouse full, he was out of it. I'm not quite sure, but he was out of it. So he washed his dog in the laundry detergent. Listen to what I'm saying. He washed his dog in the laundry detergent, called me, and was all excited about it. And he continues to wash his dog in the laundry detergent. It's that safe. It's that gentle. It's that effective. 32 ounce, my Lord, you can get 32 loads of washing out of it. Can I imagine how many times you can wash a dog in it? So great value. But yes, absolutely, Dan, you can. And thank you so much for buying our product at the Kansas show. In fact, I was talking to Keith the buyer. We were talking to Keith the buyer at Kansas today up here in Pennsylvania. So appreciate the support, and wash that dog. Wash all your dogs. And horses, not cows, but horses, a lot of well, you can wash your cows in it too, can't you? We recommend it, don't we? Hope you got a bunch of cows. Horses, people love it with horses in Florida here. It'll keep all those horse flies away. It's just an amazing, safe product. All right, let's see, guys. I think you said we got a call. We do have a caller. All righty, you got Don Bell. Who are we talking to?
Hey, Don, Jim Kubishop. How you doing?
Jim, I'm doing good, brother. Where are you from?
Wisconsin.
What part of Wisconsin you from?
Oh, Waukesha.
Waukesha. You ever hunt Buffalo County?
Oh yeah, I hunt Black River Falls all the way up in that whole area.
Yeah, listen, man. You know where Oliva is?
Yeah.
You know, you got Eau Claire, and you come down, I don't know, 25, 30 miles, you got Eau Claire. You got Oliva. Then you come down to Mandovi. Yeah, all through there, right on the river there. Man, that's the blackest dirt. I tell people, it is the black, isn't it though?
Mississippi mud right there.
Dude, that's the blackest dirt in America. And the old boy we hunt with up there for years, I tell him, I said, that's because all them stinking dairy cows you got in this state. That is, you talking about some deer.
Yeah, you don't know which one's which.
You know what's crazy is, I haven't checked this in a couple of years, but for years, and it may still be hold true there. If you guys back there can do it, you might could Google Buffalo County, Wisconsin, guys, and see where it ranks in the trophy book. The Boone and Crockett.
The top 5, isn't it?
Yeah, it ranked #1 for years. And there's some absolute cows coming out of that place. And the crazy thing about it, it's been producing it consistently for years. So, are you from there?
Oh, yeah. I've hunted all over the States.
Good people, good hunting, all them little dairy farms up there.
Oh, yeah.
I just soon hunt Wisconsin as I had Illinois or, now Kansas coming on good. It's different kind of hunting Kansas, open and stuff. But, man, Buffalo County, sweet. What kind of question you got for us tonight?
All right, so I guess I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about morale in the woods. You know how sometimes with people our instincts kick in, and we can sense a tense situation, any type of situation. Now I'm sure we can agree that deer are more on a intuitive side, and basically there has to be some sort of connection with the way that they use their intuitiveness to detect obviously the hunter in the woods, there's obviously a threat there.
Yep.
The morale basically changing that to where the deer feels more comfortable coming in opposed to being 80 yards out. What's your take on that?
Oh, yeah. And I think, in fact, Jim, I was talking to, oddly enough, a lady last night about that exact I say the exact question, but and if you watch this show much, or if you were to attend any seminars I do, you hear me say often that society has changed us. Not only are you true on the deer, but it's also true. We're the head of the food chain. We're the top predator, but we don't act like a predator. If you don't believe this tomorrow, you just walk around and watch people just get out of cars and walk around totally oblivious to where they are or in possible danger. They're just clueless. And society has bred that out of them. And you don't see a buck just walking that way, do you? Anywhere in America, that sucker's paying attention to what's going on around him. He's listening to squirrels. He's listening to, anything. And so, absolutely. I think it's not only with the deer, it's certainly true with hunters. And that's one of the reason hunters are less successful. I mean, we make a great product, but woodsmanship and being tuned. Listen, have you ever seen the show Jeremiah Johnson?
I don't believe I have.
Oh man, you've seen Jeremiah Johnson. That's the mountain man. Guys, you know who I'm talking about, don't you? You could probably Google it when you hang up, Jeremiah Johnson. Jeremiah Johnson, and he was back during the pioneer days out west. He left the city, the towns, and went up in the mountains and became a mountain man. Fought the Indians and all that stuff. But if you watch it, he goes through a transition, and the transition was that he became in tune with nature. He read the seasons. He paid attention to what was going on, what animals was doing, which told him what the bigger animals were doing.
Yeah.
And hunters, we just, Friday night we have a big time. We get in the truck Saturday morning, we go hunting. We go get on the green field and want to shoot a deer, and wonder why they're not shooting a big deer.
Yeah.
So,
what would you suggest for like a weekend hunter, or like a weekend warrior, how to release that where they have better success?
All right. Well, hold that up just a second again, real Tom. Boone and Crockett, Iowa's #1 right now. Minnesota, and then Wisconsin, Buffalo County. 205. What was that? 2015. So, so it's still in the top 3 in Boone and Crockett right now, just Buffalo County, Wisconsin. So, great state to hunt in. And I'm sorry, so ask your question again.
So like as far as the weekend warrior goes, guys from the city that go up north to go hunting, and to increase odds and stuff. What would you suggest?
Well, it's like anything. Deer, are we talking any weekend or first part of the season or?
Well, most of your hot hunting times is during your rut.
Yeah, well, that's the reason I'm asking that, because what time of year and where you are. Now, when you say you're going north, are you going? You're still in Wisconsin, or are you going? How far north are you going?
I go up towards Buffalo, Black River Falls, Eau Claire, that area.
Okay, all right. So, if you're bow hunting, you got less pressure. Obviously, from November 1 to the 15th, dude, it's on. You got everybody and their brother in the woods. So, it just depends. You bow hunt?
Oh yeah.
All right. Do you hunt much?
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, so let me go back to your question. Then you're not necessarily talking about yourself, but you're just talking about a novice that's going hunting for the first time.
In general, yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. Common sense says you want to try to go somewhere where you think there's deer. And how old are you?
Me, I'm 38.
All right, 38. Well, I'm 58. And 58. Am I 58 or 57? Anyway.
But for the record, it's 57, right?
Yeah, there you go. So the reason I'm saying that is that when we grew up, where we could hunt, even in your life, you can already, now there's malls where there used to be fields and towns or communities. And though it pushed deer, you have to be in tune to what's going on. Some of the biggest deer and a lot of big deer that's being killed are within the city limits of towns and in woodlots. People think you got to go way deep, and yes, go to the woods. But you just would not believe, like here in the Midwest, in Wisconsin, what you guys call wood lots. You may have 5 acres, 10 acres, 20 acres somewhere in a big field, and especially in Iowa. And, you cut the corn. Well, the deer's got to live. They're living in the corn. You cut the corn, and they're going into the wood lots. So you don't necessarily have to hunt big pieces of property to be successful in the Midwest. For instance, what kind of property do you hunt? Do you hunt private property, or do you hunt public property?
I hunt both.
Okay. Well, you see,
I've seen more bigger deer on the public property up in that area than I have on the private.
Well, a lot of your public property, people used to go, I don't want to hunt public property. Well, 2 reasons. They think everybody's hunting it, and oddly enough, not many people are hunting it because they think a lot of people are hunting it. It's sort of like a good-looking girl in high school. Nobody'd ask her out because they just assume everybody's asked her out, and then she don't get to go out. I mean, so deer, if you're hunting a piece of public property that's got pressure on it, pressure just simply puts deer where there's no pressure. So they're going to move from the pressure. It's just like you. If I poke my finger in your back, you're going to move enough to get the pressure off your back. You see what I'm saying? If I just keep poking you, you're just going to keep stepping forward, or take me poking you. Well, a whitetail, the reason I give that analogy is a whitetail, if you put pressure on him, he's not going to run slap to Minnesota. He's just going to run over the next hill till he feels like he ain't got to run no further, and that's where he's going to stop. And then once pressure gets off of him, he's going to try to get back in a routine. Security is routine, and for us and for animals. And whitetail is, and I know it sounds stupid, but he's lazy by nature. And so so he's not going to go any further than he has to. The more pressure, the further he goes. Now, if you're hunting a heavily pressured piece of property, especially public or refuge, something like that, go deeper. Just bypass everybody and go deep in, because that's where the deer are. It's certainly where the big boys are, but most of them are weekend warriors. They're going to hunt close to the road because they're scared they're going to get lost. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious. And they don't want to go far. And if you're going to hunt a big buck, I'll assure you a coyote, a predator, is going to go where the deer are.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if they close the grocery store down the road from me here, that's 4 miles down the road, it may irritate the dog mess out of me that they closed it, but you know what I'm going to do? And I have to go another 2 miles to the next one? As bad as I hate it, I'm going to have to go 2 miles down. I may fuss all the way down there, but I still got to go to the next place to get food. Same way with a deer. And he wants to go in, so as soon as he gets into a place and secure, that's where he's going to stop. And it's just like you traveling and you find a first decent hotel you're going to stay at, that you feel safe and secure and clean. Well, it's the same type thing. So a novelist, somebody that's never hunted, it just depends on where they are and what state they are in, and if they're hunting with somebody, if they're hunting by themselves, as to where they go and what they should do. I mean, if they're a novelist, they need to hunt with somebody else for a while to understand how to hunt, but also to pick the right piece of property. You can have a great piece of property and hunt it wrong. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You can have the best dress jacket in the world. You put that sucker on backwards, it's going to be awful uncomfortable. Well, I'm really not trying to be cute with that. I'm really trying to say is that the lay of a land, the best, your best chance to kill a buck is woodsmanship. Second is understand the lay of the land, topography of the land, pressure, right? All of that is understanding if you spook him, which way is he going to go? And it's called ambushing. So you kind of got to know the animal to know if you do this, he does that. Do you play chess?
No.
It's like
I
playing.
work a lot.
It's like playing chess. Hunting is, and with a big buck, you're setting him up, knowing that if I move here, you're going to draw him here to do this and to do that. And so you have to be patient with it. Now, if you just want to go, are you trying to kill a big buck, or are you trying to put meat in the freezer? Because that's two. That's
a little bit
two.
of both. I won't shoot anything less than a 6, and it's got to be at least a 10-inch spread. And then I got some neighbors that they're seasonal workers, so I help them all when they're laid off.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely nothing wrong with that. How many deer can you kill? How many total deer can you kill there a year now?
It depends on your area and whether it be what zone you're in, whether they're allowing doe kills or not. There's a lot that falls into play with that.
Yeah, it'll vary from year to year, won't it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, see, up to about 3 years ago, we could kill about 146 deer a year per hunter.
Whoa. Wow.
146 deer a year legally in Alabama. Of course, for years, we had more deer per square mile than anywhere in America. And now, about 3-4 years ago, they went to 5 bucks. And, we still kill a doe a day.
Holy cow.
But, I can 6 does a year. My son, he'll come up and, and a long weekend, we'll shoot 6 does, just bang, 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 and can them.
Where is that in?
This is in Alabama. We live in the Black Belt, but I can them just like I can tomatoes or something. You've never had canned deer? It's fine. You need to do it. You can Google how to can it. It's nothing to it. You just cube it up and 10 pounds of pressure for an hour and 20 minutes, and man, you take it out, it's like roast beef. You can make soup, you make anything you want on it.
Wow.
So, I grew up, my father, my father would tear your butt up. You're 38, can you remember the paper hull 12 gauge shells? 38, you probably not. All your life it's been plastic shell hulls, hasn't it?
Back in the day, my grandpa used to have some paper hull shells.
Yeah.
He had them on his shelf in his den.
Yep. Well, I can remember growing up, I got a twin brother and an older brother, and deer season would start coming in, and all the bales, there's enough bales, and I'm serious, I'm not exaggerating this, there's enough bales to have a Civil War, choose up and have sides, have a Civil War and have referees. And so, it was like a parade going down through the woods. We grew up hunting 14,000 acres in one block. And so it was 4 families: the Bells, the Haneys, the Bells, the Johnsons, the Hadleys, and the Gainies. And so, but anyway, I can remember growing up and sitting there at the table before season coming in and talking about it, and getting the guns ready and talking to us. And we had 410s as little kids, and he would take those number 1 12 gauge, uncrimp them, pour them out on the table. He'd gather them up. He'd take a 410. At that time, the only way a 410 shell would come would be, birdshot. He'd pour the birdshot out and put us 2 or 3 of those number 1s in there. Now, I don't know if you've ever had your butt tore up in the woods with the top end of a young pine sapling for shooting at something with those number 1s that he took out of them 12s, but he'd tear your butt up, son. So you learn to shoot. You had to account for every time you pulled that trigger. And the short story on that was we weren't just shooting horns. We were putting food on the table. We weren't,
it's brown it down.
You bet. And that's how you learn. And I still hunt deer rather than, now you can go with the knowledge that we're telling you, you can go hunt a given deer on a given piece of property. You really can, just like a predator. But you got to know that piece of property. You just don't walk in there one day and say, okay, I'm going to hunt that deer over there. But there's a pecking order on your piece of property where you hunt right now. Even if you don't know where you're going to hunt this year, where you hunt, the day you walk on that piece of property, there is a pecking order on that piece of property where you're hunting. And where you position yourself and when you position yourself there tells you whether or not you're going to get a chance to shoot where in that pecking order. And so it's there's a reason. Do you ever watch Discovery Channel?
Once in a while.
All right, and I'm trying to answer some of your questions. So because you asked it very genuinely, I'm telling you, and the reason I'm taking the time on this is that you touch on a question that is key to hunting. Is mindset and understanding the woods. Not only your mindset as a hunter, but the mindset of the deer. I happen to be...
You know what I've realized? Like when I'm out in the woods, and like if I'm having a bad day and I just want to get out in the woods, there's a less of a chance that I'll see a deer, but it's good to be out in the peace and quiet.
Oh yeah.
But I gotta be out there 3, 4, 5 hours in order for the woods to really calm down along with myself. I'm out tense and setting out that tense vibe. They pick up on that. I've seen it. I've seen deer walk up to me and the back of their neck is scruffed up and they're sniffing and they're looking and they're...
Well, they know something's not right. They sense it. And, anybody sitting here, anybody that hunts knows that if you hear a squirrel, for instance, out at a distance, starts to barking, bark, 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 and just a little bit you hear another squirrel closer to you, bark, 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 bark. And what he's doing is, it may be a doe or it may be a buck, or it could be something else, but you got to pay attention that there's something passing those squirrels, and those squirrels are basically saying, hey, I see you, hey, 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 I see you, and people are just oblivious to it, and they don't know they got a buck coming to them.
Yep.
So you got to pay attention to what's going on around. The reason that I mentioned Jeremiah Johnson earlier is there's a scene in the show where, they killed the lady he was living with, and Indian lady and a young kid, and the whole show's about, and historically supposed to be true, but then he went after the people, the tribe that killed him, and then he started taking them off one at a time, and then they started sending one at a time to get him for years. Well, one caught him, and he shot him, and Jeremiah Johnson, and he fell off the horse, and when he fell off the horse, he acted like he was dead, and the horse kind of spooked, ran out there and turned around and stopped, and looked at him and dropped his head down looking at him on the ground, and then that Indian was slipping up in the distance, coming up on him, and that horse was watching that guy coming up, and he would, kind of doing his head, all the body of a stranger. If you've ever walked up to a horse that you don't know, how a horse will look at you, and he was laying there with his hand on his pistol, watching that horse's eye and his body reaction, and the Indian one's coming up behind him, and he could tell right at that moment he turned and shot the Indian. And I thought that is a perfect example of hunting. And I tried to explain that to the person I was talking to. I said, look what he's doing. Well, what do you mean, what he's doing? I said, look, he's looking at the horse. Okay, he's looking, no, he's looking at the horse's eyes. The horse is paying attention to the Indian. Well, that's what you're talking about. You got to pay attention to other stuff that's going on. It's called woodsmanship. It's called being a predator. And you got to think like a predator. And society, unfortunately, has bred that out of us.
I agree.
How old are you? You're 38. You got any children?
Yep, I got 2, and both of them are excellent shots.
Good. You teach a kid to hunt, you won't have to hunt your child.
Yep.
It's just to teach them woodsmanship and teach them respect, and it'll take them a long way in this world.
If I could teach them how to sit still, I'd be way happier.
Well, the way they have to teach themselves to do that by missing and blowing. They hear enough that they'll learn to sit still.
Oh yeah.
They see enough tails going away, they'll learn they got to sit still, and that's just cause and effect. Again, learning to be a predator. Some predators are better at it than other predators. In the lion pack, the lion's pride, there's a pecking order. And the reason I was saying Discovery Channel, if you're in Africa, if you got a herd of buffalo or whatever is going by, and you see a lion or a predator stalking them, what are they stalking? You got 200 buffalo out there. water buffalo out there. They're stalking the herd. Who are they going after? Who is that lion stalking? Do you think that sucker charges and jumps on the biggest bull out there? No. You know who he goes after? He goes after the weakest, and the one that's not paying any attention is on the outside of that herd. That's the one that's going to get the butt shot. Again, it's understanding predator. And that big buck is like that big bull. He stays within the herd. He stays within and lets all these young bucks make them mistakes, and all these does. You bow hunt in the afternoon. What's the first deer comes in a green field, a buck or a doe?
I usually see nubbin bucks.
Do you see what?
Nubby bucks.
Yeah.
Small bucks.
As a general rule, the first deer that comes in fields is does, and the reason for it is does. Then the second thing comes out in a green field in the evenings is young bucks like you're talking about. They're teenagers. They ain't got no better sense to get out there and play in that green field. Now, right at dark up there in Buffalo County, if you lucky in the edge of that cut over cornfield, or that field that you cut and you run through it like you picking about every 8 rows and you leave it standing, knocked over a little bit, not that somebody would do that, and that old buck steps out right at dark. Now, why is he stepping out right at dark? Because he's got enough sense not to get out there and play with them girls out there in that broad-ass daylight. Somebody will shoot him. So you don't get old by going out there and playing in the green field. Again,
especially out in the open.
It's back to the attitude is key, what you're talking about. The mindset of the woods and how deer can sense things, attitude, experience, makes all the difference in opinion. You asked a wonderful question. It is key to success. We make a living selling deer scent. Top Secret is the best this industry's ever had. I bottled Tinks, started Code Blue. Top Secret is single urine, no oxygen. Absolutely the finest deer scents ever hit this industry. It's absolutely worthless if you're not where there's no deer, or if you're making noise. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You got to have some woodsmanship to it. And that comes with time and experience. It comes to talking to people. It's doing just what you and I are doing tonight, talking. And it's sitting down with listening to my dad talk about this and do that, and also getting your butt tore up with a pine sapling because I pulled that trigger at the wrong time when, he didn't have the money to replace those shells we were doing. We were trying to put deer in the freezer. So you learn to pay attention. And great question. So I know it's a long answer for a short question. Any other question you may have?
No. Do you guys have any what's in the future for future products coming out?
Listen, this fall we've got. In fact, your national accounts will start going out to your national accounts for this. How the store starts preloading stuff in. We have a 1 ounce spray. We have it in a foam. You're familiar with Top Secret, right?
Oh yeah.
All right, we got it in a 3 ounce spray. We got it in the foam, and now this year we have it in a 1 ounce spray. And we have, of course, the odor stop products. We also have it. Our scent defense is 3-in-1. We're the only ones in the industry that has our product kills odor, repels insects, ticks, mosquitoes, chiggers, black flies, because it has some bioshield in it. Plus, it is an attractant. And so no one has that. And we have that in the spray, the body wash, and the shampoo. But we also introduced this year what we call all season, that you can use it late season without the insect repellent in it, because up there in Wisconsin, when it's 20 degrees, 10 degrees, you ain't much worried about mosquitoes.
Yep.
So yeah, we got some great stuff out. You can see it on the website. Commercials will start run. Well, we got commercials running now on BioShield and stuff. Of course, all the third and fourth quarter stuff. We sponsor just 100-something television shows. Just a mess load of stuff. You can see it on Outdoor Channel, Sportsman's Channel, Pursuit, and Wild TV. In fact, we're I got an email today. We got a new commercial coming out, and about the middle of next week, I'll get to preview the first version of that. And what we ought to do is, once you guys remember that, and when Urge gets that done, we'll play it on the air here. So we got a lot of good stuff happening, and we're growing. We're blessed. I mean, guys, we're in a 25,000 square foot building, and it's stacked to the ceilings everywhere.
Nice.
And, yeah, so we're growing with with the 5 brands that we do, and we're growing because of support with people like you. And but listen, think how long we've talked tonight. That's the first time we've mentioned product. And what's neat about this show is, Jim, this is not a sales pitch show. This is a hunting rut hotline. It's talking about hunting. We got some great products, and they stand on their own, and they're good stuff. And tell your friends about it. Well, look.
Oh, I have.
Take care of those kids. Kill us some deer and send us some pictures, and call back anytime. And next week, we've got a gentleman. I don't know if you saw last week, but next week we've got Lenny coming back in. Their company's an expert on ticks, and we did a show last week, and he's coming back next week because we just couldn't cover it. It's amazing. It's fascinating. Do you know one of the worst areas in America for ticks?
I have no idea.
In your backyard, dude. Wisconsin, Minnesota, the Midwest. The number 1 place is the Northeast. Then the Midwest is second. And we're eat up with ticks down here in the Southeast, but we're down the food chain compared to you guys. And and you know where a tick where it sort of like an incubator, or the carrier. What's the right word, guys? I'm looking for the carrier of a tick. You know where it originates? With a white-footed mouse.
What?
Yeah. White-footed. That's where Lyme disease originates. The carrier for it. The tick picks it up as a conduit from the white-footed mouse, because they latch onto the mice, and then they hang around, and a deer comes by and they latch onto a deer, or they latch onto you. And because they've got it in their system and they latch onto you, and they stay on you, then that gets transferred to you. But the Lyme disease itself originates with a white-footed mouse. Pretty fascinating. It's a great little show. Be good to listen. Let your kids and your family watch it. Tune in next week if you know anybody that's got Lyme disease, or think they have, or paranoid with ticks. It's going to be a good show. And the guys, you can sit there and watch it live and see him talking and asking the questions, and he's talking just like we're talking. So you can ask him anything you want. So feel free to call in next week and ask any questions you want.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, listen, Jim, we appreciate it. You keep Wisconsin down up there, and see if you can't make Buffalo County number 1 again and get it out of number 3. Take it back to number 1. Yeah.
I'll be up there in September.
All right, Jim. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for calling in.
Thank you. You guys have a wonderful night.
Yeah, you too, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, folks, we'll be right back.
You don't like old milk. Deer don't like old urine. Brown and cloudy urine reeks of ammonia. Ammoniated urine means it's old, not fresh, and it doesn't fool deer. Top Secret Deer Scents, the only scent on the market that's oxygen-free from collection to bottle. It's yellow and clear because it's fresh. It's the only scent on the market that says a deer is here now and not last week.
Alrighty, folks, we're back. Big Jim had a good question there, and guys, it is the key to hunting the rut. The key to hunting the rut. You can't hunt what you don't know what is. You can't hunt what you don't know where is. And, we make a living selling product. Good product. Product that works. It's only successful if you as a hunter have some woodsmanship to know where to hunt, when, and how to use it. A particular tool is of no value to you if you've got the wrong tool for the right job. You need to screw a screw in. A hammer's not going to do you much good. You got to have a Phillips screwdriver versus a standard screwdriver. See what I'm saying? You got to have the right tool for the right job. Woodsmanship is understanding to pick which tool to use for which job at which time. You like that analogy? I'm bad on analogies. I know it. It's embarrassing. But it works. And so, Jim, spot on. That's what this show's about, is knowledge. And what he talks about, what we talk about, it makes us all better hunters. Okay. We got about 5 minutes. Let's see if we can catch some more Facebook here. So we do try to close up. Somebody called us and said, "Hey, you gonna get to my question?" And said, "Yes, sir, we are." In fact, just as luck was have it, it was tonight, wasn't it? All right. Chris Lasky from Cowan, West Virginia. My gosh, you sent a message a couple weeks ago, didn't you? Big West Virginia. Baby, burn that coal. In fact, I just fixing to order 23 tons of coal. Don is. Because Don got him a wood-burning coal stove, and it'll last me 20 years. Coal. How do you pronounce that kind of coal? Starts with an A? Anthracite. Anthracite. Hard as a rock, looks like a diamond, looks like it'll cut you. Dude, clean, burn, doesn't smoke. I done got too old to cut wood. Woodsmanship. So Chris wants to know, by God, West Virginia, how far out should I bait from a tree stand? How long does it take to most of the time for deer to locate the bait pile? I mean, you can put corn out down here, and by God, they'll take it out of your bag going back to the truck. We got a lot of deer. It is a relevant question based off on where you are, pressure, density of deer, if you're in a hardwood bottom, or if you're in a trail area, if you're near wood, but once they find it and there's no pressure, they're going to stay with it. It's an easy meal. Again, why do I need to go 5 miles down the road to I don't know, Publix shopping center when I go across the street over here to Piggly Wiggly? Don't tell me you don't know what Piggly Wiggly is up there. I know you got some up there. Piggly Wiggly's grocery store. Well, I don't need to go 5 miles when I go across the street. So the same type thing, Chris. And the distance from the stand, it depends on if you're baiting to hold the deer or if you're baiting to shoot the deer. Now that begs the legality of that question, whether or not you can hunt over bait. Some states you can, some states you cannot. Alabama is one of those you cannot. They don't care who your daddy, your mama is. They don't care if you're the judge's daughter. That you spend one night in jail, you lose your truck and your license in the state of Alabama. They say no. There's a reason we got more deer per square mile anywhere in the country, because they'll lock your butt up. They're serious with it. But last year before last, they allowed us for the first time that we could use a feeder. Now, we've been baiting deer forever, and the oxymoron of that thing is that one of the largest deer feeders in America is located in Birmingham, Alabama. It has been for years, but you can't bait in Alabama. But everybody's been using corn for years. Alabama law says that you can hunt in Alabama now with a feeder, but it has to be 100 yards and out of sight. Which means, does that mean 100 yards and 1 foot behind that tree? So there's a lot of legality into that. Some states, you can hunt right over the bait. Chris, it wasn't Wisconsin, but it was Michigan. We were hunting in Michigan one time, going out an afternoon hunt, and they said, "Hey, you want to hunt over bait?" And I thought, well, it's legal, I said, well, dude, we went out there, and I wasn't hunting on it then. A guy that was perfectly legal to do, you guys living in Michigan, you know it. Dude, they, in an end of a field, in a wood lot, they took a dump truck and dumped a dump truck full of beets. And the guy went and set up on top of the beets, down in it a little bit, and used it like a blind down in a little hole in the top of it. Here come them deer to them beets. So in some states it's legal, some states it's not. Do your homework. Make sure you know which one you can and which one you cannot. The distance from the stand really depends on if you're bow hunting or gun hunting, Chris. It's all relevant. How long does it take depends on the pressure, the amount of deer. But once they find it, they're there. And they're going to come to it as long as there's safe and as long as there's a food source there to come get. Guys, it's 8 o'clock and another hour passes by. Hey, it's May 19th. Next week we're going to do it all over again. And look, Hunting the Rut Hotline, 7 o'clock Central. Tell your friends, listen, if you know somebody that has had Lyme disease or scared that think they may have it, call in this week, Facebook, Skype in, call in, and be able to ask and listen to Lenny as he answers the questions live, an expert on Lyme disease. You'll find it fascinating. We'll see you next Thursday night.